So how about that Windows update that's kind of like fucked everything up?
Tell me about it.
Bro, my fucking PC's running like shit right now. For some
There's a
reason, I'm
Windows
having
update?
like, what?
You
There's a
wouldn't know
Windows update?
because you updated your computer recently, so.
Yeah.
Wait, I wouldn't know. Is this an 11 thing?
I think it's an 11 thing, but I updated and everything's fine on my end so far.
My battles have been with NVIDIA driver updates. Like the latest ones,
they're bad.
They've been putting out have just been like, not like killing per se, but just completely disabling monitors. Like for me, it was, oh, I want to have like, let's say 3 monitors like a normal person. And it goes, what, you plugged in the third?
Yeah.
No.
Wait, you have 3 monitors?
Yeah.
Why do you have 3 monitors?
Why not?
Cullen needs a panopticon
Okay.
of monitors.
Look, there's,
I only have 2, but I'm thinking of upgrading to 3 or 4.
you got one for Discord, one for whatever game you're playing, and one for like OBS or like, you know, like a recording software of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
It just works.
Are you doing 2 landscape, 1 portrait, or 2 portrait,
No.
1 landscape?
Just 3 wide boys.
3 landscape. Wow.
Wow, you have a huge desk.
Yeah.
I got a bit of hangover.
You're halfway.
Okay.
You're halfway there too. Do you have desktop arms?
Arms?
Do you
I
have like
2
monitor arms for your monitors?
No, the only arms are the ones that hold the controller because I'm gaming.
You're
all the
not
time.
using.
Oh
You're
my
not
God.
using mounts for your thing. You're not using like a VESA mount.
I rent my place.
No, you can get a mount and it just attaches
attach
to
it
your
to your
desk.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
So that you have more space on your desk, and then you can like move the monitors around without like having to like whatever, and they can like hang off the edge of the desk, but they'll still be supported by the desk, so you can like have them more like conveniently placed.
My works.
See, I love that Cullen and I are like 2 different like versions of like why would I do that? Because I'm like that with monitors. I only have 1 monitor that I use for everything.
Yeah,
I couldn't go
y'all
back
are
to
on
one
opposite
monitor.
extremes. Cullen is
I
like, I
could-
need to have an application full screen on like every monitor, and you're like, I'm gonna play in windowed mode on my 1 monitor.
See, I went to 2 when I started streaming because
Mhm.
it's like it is the struggle of, okay, I'm streaming, let me go back to my game. Uh-oh, wait, I need chat on my phone. Uh-oh, wait, hold on. This it just no, I needed to get 2. Even if
Just
it was
play
like a
windowed
crappy
mode.
No, terrible, awful,
Why?
the worst. But it's I want my games full screen.
Also, I believe windowed mode might actually use more CPU than just doing it full screen.
Does it?
Borderless windowed mode does it. Borderless window mode requires more resources, like it utilizes more. I don't know if it's like by a lot, but it does. And then
I just use windowed mode. I don't like borderless window mode. I need to see the border at all times.
oh, you are so weird.
That's very weird.
Yeah. It's just because of like the era that I used to play games, like windowed mode was just like it was either full screen or windowed mode. There was no borderless windowed yet.
Back in my
Um,
day, we need to walk across the hill to get a loaf of bread, and then we came home and we played our games windowed mode. Our
Yes.
Diablas. We only played them windows. We respected the border, okay? That's all I'm saying. You kids wanna go borderless window, you commies. Back in our day, everything was windowed mode, and if you played full screen, a guy came to your house and killed you.
Anyways, welcome to Burnout Culture, everyone. My name is Kazuma Hashimoto. I'm one of 3 fantastic hosts.
I'm GC. I am another of the 3 fantastic hosts.
My name is Cullen, and I'm the annoying one. Hey,
No, you're
happy
great.
1 year burnouts.
Oh God, it is, isn't it?
Yep, assuming I can
allegedly.
edit it. Assuming I can edit it on
my
time,
God.
yes, it'll be exactly a year to the day.
Oh my
25
God.
episodes.
How many episodes?
25 episodes.
25.
Oh my
That's
God.
a big 2-5.
We've been here for a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
And like our friendship hasn't deteriorated. We don't hate each other. The podcast didn't drop off after the first 3 episodes. This is actually kind of crazy.
Yeah,
I know.
I've been doing good.
Yeah.
Everybody give
Wow.
yourselves a pat on the back. If you're listening, give yourself a pat on the back for the continued support. Much
Yeah,
appreciated.
you've been here for a
Thank
year.
you.
That's crazy.
And it's honestly, what a great way to bring in another year of Burnout culture, where it begins. Where the year ends where it began
Yeah.
at Shitburger.
Oh my god, yeah,
Yummy,
fucking like a dragon pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
What a terrible name. What a terrible name. What a
I've been
terrible
calling
box
it just. I've been calling it Majima game.
well, I think in
Yeah.
Japan it's Majima Gaiden or something
I know,
like that.
which
is
is why
Majima Gaiden.
I wanted to shorten it to Majima game.
Majima gay?
Majima game.
I mean, he could
Oh.
be.
He could be, but I
He
don't want to give it
probably
to
is,
him.
to be honest. I mean, like, he is obsessed with one man in
Men.
particular.
Yeah. Yeah. One man who's currently undergoing chemotherapy so he can come back as the protagonist of the next mainline game.
They're gonna wheel that dude out when he's 80, and he's still gonna like be fighting guys on the street. Let him go to bed.
Let Grandpa rest.
Kiryu, you gotta save the Tojo clan from being
he-
reassembled.
And he's at like the grocery store, like shoving like chicken in his mouth from the little kiosks, like gumming it because his teeth have all fallen out. Like,
But he's doing it in that gross way old people eat stuff sometimes, where they put like all their fingers in their mouth when they like take a bite.
Wait, what?
You ever seen an old person do that? Oh my god, it's so
Yeah.
disgusting. Like they take like a piece of something, right? And they go to eat it, but instead of like just like putting it up to their, instead of like taking a bite, right, with like their fingers a reasonable distance away, they put their fingers right up against their lips or inside their mouth to take the bite, because their working teeth are so far back in their head that they gotta like put it all the way back there so they can tear the piece out. Oh,
Okay, so one, I don't watch old people eat, and two,
I find it fascinating.
the elderly that I've been around have mostly always been Asian, so chopsticks are a thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, to be
Yeah.
fair, a lot of
Yeah.
us don't have a choice to watch elderly people eat if we had to grow up with some fucking dying ass, old ass elderly people.
I'll never forget the jeans story you told me, and no one that's listening is ever gonna know about it. But
Oh, I
that
can
was
just say it.
fascinating.
I
No,
can
no.
fucking say it.
No, it needs to be a secret. We need to keep them guessing.
Okay, fine. I won't say the gene story, but I will say that the chicken story was real. My grandpa did that. But before he died in his like last couple years, he like we were at I forget what grocery store, but you know, like we went to the whole like buy your dinner here thing, and he went to the fried chicken. It was like I'm gonna bring your cousin with me to go to get your fried chicken. Here I go, and he just like waddled off. And he just grabbed some chicken from the hot little stand and just started like munching it and mushing it and scumping it, and then he handed it to my cousin. It was like, here, take this and finish it. And then he just walked off, and my cousin came up to my family crying. It's like, I don't want to eat the bad chicken.
That's that age when you get old enough where you really do not give a shit. Like you
No.
really do not give a fuck. It's like, what are you gonna do? Kill me? Whatever. That could be tomorrow. But yeah, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. This is kind of interesting. Our experience, our first episode was us talking about Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and much like in that episode, we also have similar experiences with Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, where I have basically played the whole thing. I beat it already, by the way. I got all the achievements in it. It's done.
So you liked it a lot then, because you did that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you got all the achievements. Okay.
Cullen, I think, is in chapter 1 or 2. I don't remember which one.
I got to Hawaii. I
Yeah.
am the pirate Yakuza in Hawaii right now.
You got to the Honolulu, and Kazuma
you
has
know,
not
the
played it
Yakuza
at
game.
all. If I
No,
understand.
I've decided I'm not gonna play it.
All right, cool. So
But you can spoil me because I don't give a shit. So
I will avoid spoilers. I'll tell you later, though. I'll avoid spoilers,
Okay.
but I will say that I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This is the best written Like a Dragon game they've done since Like a Dragon 7, and in some
Oh.
cases, because it sticks closer to its tone and it understands what it is. And it avoids a lot of the pitfalls that I have identified as problems with Like a Dragon storytelling. I would even argue that it's better writing than Like a Dragon 7. I don't necessarily think it's more powerful or more impactful things being said in Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii than in Like a Dragon 7, but I do think this is overall written way better and written with way more. I have a counter when I play the games. Or for instance, with Infinite Wealth, I had a counter on stream where I would like count all the icks it gave me. It was like Infinite Wealth icks or something like that, yucks or whatever the fuck. And I think I ended that game with like 30 something of those, 35 maybe. I didn't do that with Gaiden Majima, but if I did, I would have maybe 2.5 over the course of like 50 hours.
That's a pretty good ratio.
It's a very good ratio. There is, I'll tell you right now, folks, there is 1.5 sub-stories that are written. The premise is absolutely just like some spiteful bastard wrote it about idol culture. I'll just tell you the premise is idol getting married is secretly bad person, and that's the story. That's the sub story. Mm-hmm. It's written very much with this very like vindictive sort of like spiteful attitude towards idols who get married. Maybe that's not the focus of it, but that's the impression it gives off. And then there is a couple little things here and there in a lot of the sub story writing. Just like maybe 1 or 2 sentences, honestly. There's only 31 sub-stories. And amongst those 31 sub-stories, there's a couple lines here and there that are very much like old men trying to wrap their heads around current event online phenomenon. So you have like big time producers threatening to cancel their clients if they don't sleep with them, literally using the term, I can get you canceled, stuff like that.
Oh.
But that was like one line. It wasn't even the focus of the whole thing. And like he gets his comeuppance and stuff like that. So it's whatever. But yeah, the story is written with heart. There is a sincere attempt to sort of have fun with the pirate premise. They contextualize all of the pirate stuff in the game in a really cool way, in a way that kind of makes sense to me. And ultimately, a lot of the themes around the game and ultimately the story of Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is just basically about like, you should have a sense of adventure. You should have a sense of freedom. You should go out and do the things you've always wanted to do.
Okay, but one question.
Yeah.
In a world without gold, would they have been heroes?
100%.
Okay, that's 100%. All I need to know.
100%. That it rules. It rocks. Gameplay rocks. At first I was like, oh, limited moveset, limited ship combat stuff. But the game is actually a lot shorter than you might think. There's only 5 chapters. The finale is included in those 5 chapters. So after chapter 4, you go to the finale chapter and then game ends. Yeah.
That is short.
Yeah. I think Man Who Erased His Name was the same deal. It was like 5 chapters, but it was like, they were like longer chapters than you would get out of a typical Like a Dragon game. So the game isn't very long. So your limited moveset doesn't really annoy you as much because you're not playing the game for long. So it's sort of proportional. And ultimately, everything you can do by the time you've upgraded everything, which you can do pretty early if you're the kind of person that I am, where as soon as something becomes available to me, side content wise, I go do it. Once you have all of your tools and stuff, the game opens up just a little bit, but just enough to keep you entertained in fights up until the end of the game. And then boss fights are really cool. They mix it up a lot. Long battles. They do stuff in Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii that they've never done before. And there are action adventure, like classical action adventure elements in the long battles. So I did a segment where I had to activate buttons in the dungeon to open doors and shit. And granted, it wasn't anything like wild or anything, but like I actually had to like jump and do attacks in a certain way to hit those buttons. And then I fought a boss who had a weak spot on its back, and I had to like dodge around him and then get airborne because he was big to hit it. And it was really cool. Also, Majima, basically all of Majima's movesets are inspired by Devil May Cry. He has a stinger. He has an aerial rave. He has all that shit. That's Majima. Majima is just a Devil May Cry character in this.
We got Devil May Cry at home.
We do have Devil May Cry at home. Ship
Wonderful
combat.
to hear.
Same thing with ship combat, by the way. Ship combat, again, upgrades. You can upgrade your ship pretty fast if you've been doing everything. But what ends up happening is different ship upgrades complement each other. So you can, in the limited upgrade system, you can mix and match certain parts of the ship to sort of synergize and have like a certain play style that benefits you. The weird feeling of controlling the ship that I felt in the demo, I kind of got over it. Because so Black Flag, right? Black Flag ship combat in that game is very heavy. It's very slow. It's very like you're lurching the ship around. It's usually against 1 or 2 ships, maybe 3. In Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, by the end game, you are fighting against like 5 ships at a time. You are multitasking like crazy. You are shooting your port cannons and your starboard cannons and your machine guns all at the same time to hit 3 different targets while avoiding the many projectiles and traps that they are laying down for you as you go up to them. They're also not stupid. If you charge directly at a ship, they will also charge at you. And when you get close enough, they will turn their broadside towards you and just pelt you with cannon fire. And in a lot of cases, I almost died in a lot of places because I got careless doing that sort of thing. They also have weapons that you don't have access to. So some ships have like homing missiles that you have to like, they're literally tracking you. So you have to like drift out of the way of them in order to avoid them. But as you're doing that, you can utilize your drift to like, so you can ram ships in this game, but it also it determines the damage you do by the amount of speed you're going. But if you're drifting the ship, that like velocity gets added to it. So you can do really cool things like charge at a ship. You drift into them, hit them with the back end of your ship. As you do that, you are now facing another ship. You start shooting that ship. You activate your boost again, drift around the ship you ran into to hit it with your broadside cannons, start machine gun firing another ship. It is legitimately very engrossing. It is way better than the I'm comparing it to the previous Gaiden. The Coliseum fights in The Man Who Erased His Name, which is just like a bunch of dudes fighting each other. It's way cooler. The crew battles are a ton of fun because you get a ton of different things to do. You are constantly trying to like, as Majima, everyone's fighting during the crew battles, but all the first mates and the captain have the ability to activate special abilities once their meter fills up. And as Majima, you are trying to scout out those people during the fight while avoiding other of their crew to kill them before they can do that, and then activate your own things instead. There's also really cool segments that I wish they did more of, but like in the small amounts that they did it's really cool. I won't spoil it, but you do some piratey shit here and there that's really cool, some swashbuckling stuff, and it's a completely different like gameplay element. It's not based off the actual fighting. Huh?
Because I know you like a swashbuckle. I know you like swashbuckle like islands you find and like get treasure. You mean like more than that?
That's the dungeoneering stuff. I'm talking about like actual like a fighting component. So like you have your fighting moveset, right? As Majima, Devil May Cry, whatever. But there are segments of the game where you are doing like duels on top of like, I'll just tell you, you do duels on top of the mast of ships.
Oh, that's cool.
And you're like one-handed sword fighting people as you're both balancing on the thing. And then that whole thing is about timing your attacks well so you can parry and like throw them off. And they don't do it a lot, but they do these little things. There's like these little pockets of like, hey, here's like an idea we had, and they ran with it. But it was like, it's not like a half-assed idea. It was the perfect amount of idea. If you catch my drift, like Sugimon in Infinite Wealth, half-assed idea, right? There's so much of it, but it's so undercooked.
I'd argue every Sugimon is a half-assed idea.
Yes. But in this game, there's so many little things of them just going, we're going to try a little thing in this segment. We're going to give you a little thing to do that's different from the usual gameplay loop. And it really makes the main story stuff stand out from the side content, since so much of the side content is just fighting dudes and blowing ships up, right? That you don't feel like you're just doing the same shit in the main scenario that you've been doing in the side scenarios. It's really good. It's a well-balanced, it's a well-balanced game. It is a game with a decent scope, like a well-managed scope. It has a lot of heart. It has a lot of fun at the same time. It avoids all the pitfalls of the storytelling of recent Like a Dragon games. No one's going on about stupid trivia that doesn't matter. They never digress into like a conversation about like, oh, by the way, did you know that in the ocean there's only 90% marine life? No one's doing that. They don't bother with that shit. They don't bother with like trying to like fill you in on stuff you can find out by looking up a Wikipedia article. It's just focused on characters. It's just focused on the themes. It's great. It's great. There are like a couple little problems, like the classic, the way some of the women characters are treated in this game kind of sucks. Specifically, just one. Honestly, there's just one character in the game that's just treated really crappily, especially because they hyped her up in the trailers. But yeah, it's great. I don't know. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that something came out of this. Although I have a feeling that I know why, and it's because Ryosuke Hori, the guy that did Like a Dragon 7 and also did the Majima Saga for Kiwami 2, which are both very well done in my opinion. He produced this one. So he was in charge of this. Masayoshi Yokoyama and Hiroyuki Sakamoto are still credited as chief producer and executive producer respectively, but Ryosuke Hori is the actual like producer that was managing the project. And yeah, like I'm starting to think with Majima Gaiden that I have like a bone to pick with Tsuyoshi Furuta. For people that don't know, I really don't like his style of writing, but I have a sneaking suspicion with this game that he writes what people want him to write. And I have a feeling that when Yokoyama is not telling him what to do, Furuta is capable of writing a story that evokes the classic Yakuza storytelling.
This is just you on like the roof of the Millennium Tower shaking your fist and saying Yokoyama.
Yeah, I'm going to fight that dude one day.
I've heard from just kind of like browsing the internet, a lot of Infinite Wealth fans don't like this game. Do you have any idea why that might be?
It's because they don't have taste.
Well, I'm not trying to...
Sorry.
Try to be reasonable here.
Sorry.
GC,
because they don't have taste.
Do you have any idea why, like, what really like changed with this one?
Infinite Wealth is very much a story about stuff happening to people. Something's happening to somebody every 2 seconds in Infinite Wealth. It starts with Ichiban getting canceled, Ichiban proposing, Ichiban going to Hawaii, Ichiban getting roofied, Ichiban doing like something is constantly happening to the character. Something is constantly like some twist or some like sudden occurrence is occurring. And for people who maybe don't have a lot of experience with the series, to them, that's what Like a Dragon is, since modern Like a Dragon is very much like that. Their stories, basically nothing happens until something happens. And I think people that like Infinite Wealth are the kind of people that will play a game that is more, it's less about what is happening to the characters and like what's going to happen next. Very like episode of the week style storytelling. When they don't play a Like a Dragon like that, when they play a Like a Dragon that's more, I don't want to say meandering because that has a negative connotation, but it's more focused on like how characters feel about what they're doing and like the relationship between those characters and where they're coming from and like the interpersonal relationships of those characters. They're going to bounce off of that because in those Yakuza stories, not as much happens. Probably don't like Yakuza 4 a lot. They probably don't like Yakuza 5 a lot because those games are very much not about what's going to happen now. It's more like, what is this game about? What are we talking about? Or what is the premise? And is it doing that premise well? Some people will say Majima Gaiden, nothing happens in that story, but a lot of happens in that story. Allegiances form. It's a very classic pirate treasure hunting tale. Allegiances form. Allegiances are broken. People betray each other. People ally with each other. People make amends. Some people suffer for their hubris, etc., etc. It's very well done, but it's not as high octane. It's not as like super like, you know, eye candy stuff constantly happening. You're fighting an excavator kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why, in addition, gameplay wise, there's a lot of people that prefer the amount of content versus the quality of content. And I don't want to say that you value quantity over quality, but I think in the case of Infinite Wealth over Majima Gaiden, that is very much the conversation we'd end up having, because there's people that play Infinite Wealth and they're like, wow, 200 hours of Like a Dragon. I'm so excited. Wow.
I'm fucking puking.
Yeah. And my argument to those people, and the thing I would say to those people, is really think about how much you get done in Infinite Wealth, in 200 hours of Infinite Wealth versus 50 hours of Majima Gaiden. Really think about how much you actually do in those 200 hours, and like the actual meaningful gameplay of that. That's not monotonous. That's not you just farming for Sugimon. That's not you just monotonously going through the dragon cart races. Although Infinite Wealth didn't have those. That's not monotonously going through like the dating mini game. That's not monotonously doing the, what was the other big, the Dondoko Island stuff, where it's like not really well explained and you're kind of all over the place, and the assets that they use in that mini game aren't really interesting or evocative of like the premise of what you're doing, versus what you would do in Majima Gaiden, where it's like, yeah, there's not as much content, but you get it, like every minute of that content is worth as much as those 200 hours of Infinite Wealth. Yes, there's less of it, but it's more significant. Like, it's more entertaining. It's more engaging than whatever Infinite Wealth has. And I think a lot of people that like Infinite Wealth are people that prefer to have a wider scope of a game. They prefer to have a game have a lot of width and a lot of stuff to do in it, but they don't really mind if the stuff that they're doing doesn't really integrate back into the gameplay loop very well.
You're being very generous with how you're describing this, because to me it's very much people that are like, they equate the length of a game with worth and value.
Yes.
So if the experience is long, therefore it is good. Because like you mentioned, like Dondoko Island and everything, none of those things actually go back and interact with the game in any meaningful way. And a lot of the side content in 8 is just kind of there. Like, it's not exactly fun, even if there's stuff to do. Whereas it sounds like with Pirate Yakuza, like everything you do sounds super fun. Like, I'm not going to play this, but you're making it all sound really engaging. Like, every bit of the game interacts with itself in some way. And even if it's a more condensed experience, it's just a better one overall.
Yeah. And the Ryosuke Hori influence is probably thanks to that, because his entire like history with the studio, like all his work on the Like a Dragon series has been in regards to their play spots. He's the one that got them to put karaoke in the series. Like, he's the one that fought for that. And he's also a huge karaoke buff. He has like, he touts that he's memorized or able to sing like 200 different songs. Like, he's really into fucking karaoke.
I love that for him.
And you can tell that in Majima Gaiden, where in Majima Gaiden, like you were saying, every mini game, including the shovelware, I call them shovelware mini games, like pool, shogi, mahjong, poker, oichokabu, koi koi, like all of those, they've created a situation where all of those mini games actually feed back into the other parts of the game. So now all of those mini games have little story. You earn points for doing those mini games, and that was always true. But now you collect treasure in Majima Gaiden. You have a big treasure list, and there's a certain amount of treasure you can find. And if you find all of them, you get pirate points, which raises your pirate rank, and money, which you need pirate points and money to upgrade Majima, because the upgrade system utilizes both. So by doing those mini games, you get points to buy treasure chests, which give you treasure, which give you a lot of money and a lot of pirate points. So by actually engaging with the elements of a Like a Dragon game that by now most of us have started to ignore. I can't tell you the last time I played fucking pool in a Like a Dragon game.
I forgot pool and darts even existed until usually I see that they have some like in universe. We don't live in the fucking Like a Dragon universe, but like real world collaboration with darts or whatever.
Yeah. And like I played blackjack in Pirate Gaiden. to get enough points, to get enough chips to buy a treasure chest. Like that's wild to me. I've never played blackjack in a Like a Dragon game. I never bothered with any of that stuff. But I did it in this because there was a reason to. There was like an incentive. And then I got to enjoy those things because I found out that those mini games actually had like little things in them that, like, for instance, pool has like the one shot challenge where they arrange the table in such a way where you have to hit a ball into the pocket, but you can't touch any of the other balls that are on the table. And then they have like little ramps for your cue ball to like go over stuff. They have barriers. Like, it was actually really fun. I spent like 6 hours playing pool on one stream because of that thing. But it was fun. It was good. It engaged me, right? Like, there was a reason for me to participate. And now that there was an incentive for me to do well in it, I was engaged with it. Dragon Card comes back in this, but it's not Dragon Card from 7. They've added new tracks. They've incorporated like new neat things. Like, the tracks aren't all boring. There's a demolition derby mode now. You can do time attacks, which I think you could always do, but like, you can unlock way more cars. You can upgrade the cars just like always. What was the other mini game that we played? Oh my God, it's a blur. I played the whole thing in like a week.
So what you're saying is this is not Shitburger.
This is not Shitburger in any sense of the word. Like, everything contributes to the gameplay loop. Everything keeps you engaged with what you're doing. Everything comes back to you being a pirate. Everything comes back to you being a pirate. To say nothing of actually going to islands, and the islands are dungeons in the style of Ishin's dungeon mechanic thing that they had. Like, but this time you have all of your friends with you and they all attack and like they're fighting with you and they actually do stuff, and you can activate heat moves with some of them to do special heat moves together. And some of the areas, some of the dungeon levels, like some of them have poison rooms. Some of them have, I don't know, sometimes you go into an area and it's like you got to kill 100 people before you can advance. And then people just start dropping from the sky to come attack you. It's just like, it's so cohesive. It's so good. It's so consistent. At no point, except maybe at the end in a post-credit scene where I was like, there's the Furuta I know and love. But it's also in relation to Infinite Wealth. So I almost feel like it's a holdover from that. And it's not in relation to Infinite Wealth in any like super meaningful way. It's literally trying to like the post-credit scene in Majima Gaiden is literally them trying to explain a plot hole in Infinite Wealth.
Oh, well, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, and it's stupid.
Yeah.
I did think the little bits, as someone who hasn't finished Infinite Wealth, where it's just like, we're going to tell you about Infinite Wealth, where like some of the weaker stuff, like in that early segment, again, I have no idea where like the story even goes, but
it goes nowhere near Infinite Wealth. It goes this is very, very like 0.5% of this is related to Infinite Wealth. And the end of Majima Gaiden has implications for the rest of the series. And it makes a very strong implication of something going forward with the series that I won't say, but it's pretty good. It's handled pretty well. The whole game, I have so little to complain about with Majima Gaiden. Like I'm eating Shitburger. Well, you know what? I went to Shitburger and then they brought me a meal from the place across the street. That's what happened. And they were like, this is ours now. You can eat this.
They're like, hey, we ran out of food. We,
Yes.
we got food from a better
fired our
place.
old chefs.
Yeah.
New menu.
Sorry, we brought better ones. Me, on the other hand, I was in Shitburger in real life.
Oh, yeah?
So last podcast, I talked about how Jake and I were really excited for this arcane event they had in SoCal. It was at Boba Bear. They did a last drop pop-up event. I don't believe it was, like, I think they got Riot to like license it out, but it was not officially hosted by Riot. It was hosted by like the owner of Boba Bear, and we went as Jason Victor. We worked really, really hard on our costume. Last night I popped into call like when I got back from a different arcane event, and I showed you guys the costume.
Yeah.
Like before I got out of everything.
It was real good.
Thank you. Yeah. We worked really hard on it. Those that don't know, Jason Victor is like no one really cared about those characters until season 2, because then it got kind of gay and then everybody suddenly liked them, because you know how it goes in like modern fandom and popular fandom and shit. So we show up a little early because one of our friends is like a finalist on the like for the cosplay contest they had, right? we're just standing outside, and they're having a little private photo shoot for the judges inside of the cafe, and one of them leans out and is like, "Oh my god, it's the husbands." And we were like, "Okay, that's fine." Overall, a pretty decent event, but anyone that hears that comment and knows what like fandom is like and cosplay is like probably knows where this is going. So, Jake and I are having a really good time.
Yeah.
And we're standing by the bar because I'm going to get him like this little like salamander plush. And one of the judges comes up to us and goes, "Hi, I'm like the biggest Javik stan ever, and I usually always record videos with Javik cosplayers." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, cool. Like, so we're actually a couple, so like we don't mind doing anything." And she was like, "Yeah, I kind of treat these cosplayers like they're my Barbies. So keep that in mind, right?"
Okay.
And
Immediate red
she
flag.
shows us a video of something she's made, like another video she's made with other people that are cosplaying Jason Victor. And it was just very normal, just like, "Jace, I have to go now, but Victor, you're my partner," and everything like that. So we go outside, and she's like, "Okay, so I'm gonna have someone record me recording you guys, and I'm gonna upload it. Now, Victor, I want you to say, 'Jace, have you heard of the hex strap?'" And I immediately go, "Hey, we're both transgender. Maybe not." Like, deadpan serious. Now, there are a lot of issues regarding this as to, like, just the way people view certain things in fandom, how they treat, like, trans mass bodies, specifically cis women, when it comes to fulfilling a very specific sexual fantasy for themselves.
Yes.
Which is really fucking disgusting. And if you are a cis woman and you feel guilty hearing about this, maybe think about why. Because I have very little patience for it, obviously.
Of course.
But if you are a random stranger, do not go up to someone and have your little fun skit. And then, how did I phrase this to Jake this morning? I was like, we had a random stranger come up to us and basically want you to have a conversation with me on a sexual subject regarding a like an actual sex toy or sex object for a piece of filmed content for TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that is objectification. That is like textbook objectification.
Also, just like putting anyone in that, like a stranger in that position.
Anybody, yeah, that'd be uncomfortable as hell. Like, I don't want to talk about
giving them warning. Just sucks.
I don't want to talk about that shit. Like, I don't want to like fulfill your fantasy. Like, that's weird. I don't know you.
And,
especially monetized on TikTok.
Yeah, and then you're gonna make money off of it. What the fuck? Where's my cut?
Yeah, get out of here.
It's so like this was my first experience coming back to America and cosplaying, and this was Jake's first experience in America cosplaying, and it's very much like this reminder of like why like myself as a gay man, especially like a gay trans man, like I don't like interacting with fandom communities for this reason, because it reminds me that when I go outside and interact in these fandom spaces, it is literally just objectification, and people that engage in fandom don't actually want to talk about like how it impacts gay men, like in these spaces and in real life.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that interaction, there were some very excited 15-year-olds that like someone's mom approached us and was like, "My daughter was like really excited to see you guys here. Can she take a picture? She's like too shy to ask." So we took a picture with her, and like it was like the young people that were more considerate, but I think that's because they were like really like nervous. And I went to like another arcane event last night with like a friend, the same one that was like a finalist. And I don't want to sound mean, but if you are a stranger and you're really into a ship, please don't project that onto a random person you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So that's all I'm going to say. I like texted Jake and I was like, this is really awkward. I'm surrounded by a bunch of Victor cosplayers and I keep talking about you, but I think they're not really like understanding that I am actually like in a relationship, and it's very awkward right now.
You're just sitting there and they're just saying like all these kinds of things. And you're like, I think it's too late to mention. I think we've gone past the part.
Well, the thing is like, so Jake made this like little rock that's like in the show, and like we glue it to my wrist because like Jace like has it on his wrist. It's like the gay people rock or whatever.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, my boyfriend made this for me, and they were like, haha, yeah, and I was like, no, my boyfriend actually made this for me, my real living, breathing boyfriend whom I kiss and love.
You don't understand. I'm not role playing right now.
No,
I'm just being
I'm
normal.
not.
I know I'm in the
Yeah.
costume, but I'm not assuming a character.
Yeah, I'm just. This is like, this is just like me talking about my boyfriend, and it made it like people were having like a really good time, I guess, seeing me there because I kept getting cold, and there was a fire pit, and there's a scene in Arcane where like Jace is sitting in front of the fire, like contemplating his life and looking like dog shit. So I was in front of the fire, and everyone was like, haha, you look like a wet puppy, and I'm like, thanks, you're like the sixth person to say this to me tonight. My
Jesus.
hands are cold, leave me alone. So, you know, Cullen, I'm glad you've had really great experiences cosplaying, and I really hope this never happens to you.
I've had my bad issues cosplaying. Don't worry, nothing as bad as you seemingly, but no, it's cosplaying is just you're always gonna get some fucking weird ass people.
Just be normal. Like
Yeah.
we might have a common interest in fandom, but like please be a normal person about it.
We don't have to like we may share the common interest of this fandom, you know, that's great. But like when we're in public and we're just having a conversation, that common ground is what allows us to just be normal with each other. We ain't gotta make the whole thing about the thing. Also, be normal to cosplayers, folks. Just
Yes.
hey,
oh my god.
your costume looks great. Oh my God, you two are perfect. Like, this is so cool. Can I get a picture? Snap, snap. Thank you. Wow, have a great
Yeah.
day.
It's just like baffling, right? Because like when you mention the, you know, we like the same thing, you also can't assume people like it in the same way that you do, right?
Exactly.
Which is where I think a lot of this, like, I'm cosplaying with my boyfriend, and we're cosplaying a now popular couple, and you know, there's like a popular headcanon that, for example, makes Jake really dysphoric, and people try to talk to us about it, and it's like, you know what? You don't know people like that. You could just be like, I really like this thing too, and that's it, and that can be the beginning and end of that conversation, and you can talk about it on a surface level without jumping to something sexual, which for some reason people cannot do. And I'm gonna blame COVID, and I think people need to experience shame more. And if you come up to me and talk to me about that, I will make you feel an immense amount of shame.
It's like it's almost like with certain like elements of fandom, some people end up it's not exactly this, but some people end up having like parasocial dynamics with like fictional characters. And then when
Yes.
someone's like cosplaying that character in real life, they sort of like transfer that parasocial dynamic onto whoever is like representing that character physically. But also in the thing of fandom, for whatever reason, like, listen, if you want to be horny about your anime characters, whatever, I don't care. But like, you time and place, you know, like if that's the
Yes.
like that cannot be where the conversation goes all the time. 1, 2, it definitely can't be where it goes, you know, in a public setting, because and with strangers no less, because like you don't know, you know, just because someone's part of a fandom, it has nothing to do with like their willingness or how comfortable they are with like discussing sexual stuff. Like, I'm very comfortable talking about sexual things, but like I would never walk up to like a stranger or even like friends of mine if I don't know where they fall on that conversation and just be like, yeah, dicks and butts and stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like what the hell's like going on?
I think it's like a misunderstanding of like kind of where you are in these kind of events, because a lot of like this behavior is like fine online, and by fine I mean, you know, big air quotes, but like it's perceived as fine online. So it's like you go to a convention and everyone's like, oh yeah, no, it's just like online, but in real life, and people forget it's like people have boundaries, and you should not just like go up to someone you don't know and assume their boundaries are like as lax as yours.
Exactly. But I will say, I expected to feel really dysphoric cosplaying Jace. I didn't, and nobody misgendered me. So we call that a win.
Hell
So
yeah.
I found the pickles in the Shitburger, and I loved the pickles, and I ate them, even if the patty and the fucking buns and the lettuce and the tomatoes and the onions and the condiments were absolutely rancid.
Well, your outfit looked great and you looked super fucking powerful in it. So I understand why those 15-year-olds were
baller.
intimidated. Because
Oh,
you looked
yeah,
like
the
you looked
15-year-old,
like
yeah.
you looked like you could like break someone in half in that outfit.
Consider that I also never fucking smile either. So, like, I'm just sitting there fucking scowling and I can't see because I'm wearing, like, old prescription contacts. So I'm just fucking frowning, squinting, trying to figure out what's going on around me.
Everyone thinks you're sizing them up, but really you're like, I can't fucking see. Does
Yeah,
that
literally.
fucking
Where am I?
does that fucking say kitchen or bitchin'? I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I can't find the restroom. But yeah, other than that, like, I do think it was nice to go out and be social. Like, and I do like cosplaying, and I think I'm gonna do it again. Like, I'd really like to do more of it. And I still think we gotta cosplay at MagFest, like as like a small group or something, because it would be really cool just to cosplay with you guys. Because despite all the weird experiences, it is a hobby that I actually quite enjoy.
It is fun to make or modify your costume and get all ready, and the bits of stress right before and the way it pays off.
Oh yeah. Fucking Jake painted like his entire face and neck for that Victor cosplay. And I thought he was gonna like overheat and sweat to death, but it was like really nice that day, and I was the one fucking dying in my jacket, my shirt, and like everything else. I was like, I smell like sweat, coffee, and cologne. This is fucking awful. I hate this right now.
Oh yeah, that's a
But-
man stench right there. That's what that. Yeah.
Yeah, but this, oh god, this was another stupid thing. I was like, God, I fucking smell like coffee and cologne. I was like, hi, you smell just like Jason. I'm like, stop fucking saying this.
Well, he smells weird.
He's not real.
Yeah, literally. Like, oh my god. It's just those things, right? It's like these small things where you're just like, haha, yeah. And it's like, I feel awkward being around you right now. But yeah, I mean, like, that was just sort of like the big thing that happened for me in between recording. And that was just because I was very excited to cosplay with my boyfriend and, you know, have a good time. And, well, speaking of a good time,
So the preview embargo for Xenoblade X lifted between last week and this week. I cannot say too much about it because what was in the preview is very limited. But you can check my full thoughts out on RPG site. Just like RPG site, fucking Xenoblade X, you'll find it. I've been playing Xenoblade X on Switch. It's really, really good. I will have to wait to like say most of my thoughts on the game because it's like there's 12 chapters in the game. They let us talk about 4. The game really begins in chapter 4. So, you know, it's one of those, but it's a really good port with lots of quality of life. There's some stuff I'm a bit like, you know, like squint eyes and unassuredness on, like the fact that they let you have a bar that disables cooldowns. A bit iffy on that, but it is at least fun.
mm-hmm.
That is one of the most impressive open world games like ever. But I'd say what is probably something a lot easier to talk about related to Xenoblade is GC went like out of Shitburger
Xenoblade 1, right?
and went to Peak Steak across the street and said, I want your finest RPG of the 2010s. And they said, here, sir, here's Xenoblade Chronicles 1 for you. Yes. And then poured him a nice white wine. GC.
Yeah.
You had a bit of a religious experience, I've heard.
Have you ever like have you ever been in a situation where you're dying for some specific thing and you don't exactly know what it is, but you're constantly searching for it. It's like this hole that you're just stuffing stuff into to fill it, and nothing fucking works, and you feel empty all the time, and you're just searching for this one thing that like satisfies this yearning, this desire for an experience, or like for something to just hit you in a way that just resonates with you so strongly that you feel complete by the end of it, and you feel validated in a way that doesn't feel as if you've been validated superficially, in a way that doesn't feel like you've just been like told what you want to hear, but more so like somebody understands you, somebody really truly grasps the thing that you feel.
Yes, I am in fact a Xenoblade Chronicles fan.
Xenoblade Chronicles 1, not only when I first played it when Definitive Edition came out, my first instinct, my first reaction was, oh my God, this is the PS2 era RPG that I have been looking for since playing Dragon Quest VIII, since playing, I don't know, Dark Cloud 2.
Mm-hmm.
I've always chased after this specific aesthetic, this specific thing. And when I played Definitive Edition for the first time when it came out back in the day, that's what hit me first. I was like, oh my God, this is like from the era. Or it's not from the era, but it is so clearly inspired by that era. But also, if Xenoblade Chronicles had come out during the PS2's heyday, no one would have batted, like no one would have blinked twice and been like, oh, that's out of place. No, that's like, that would have been an all-time classic in that era.
It helps that like the Wii was basically like the PS2 era, but a bit shittier in most instances.
Yeah. And so that was my first instinct with Xenoblade Chronicles. And when I started playing it, I was like, oh, this is cool. Oh, is this a revenge story? Oh, is this like an environmentalist thing? Or are we going to learn about like, okay, all right, okay. So they live on a big guy. Okay, great. That's interesting. Oh yeah. Oh, there's like a limited resource kind of thing that's going on here a little bit. Yeah, I get. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, damn. Okay, that character bites. Oh, damn. Oh, there's like tension between like nations here, and there's like a conversation here. Oh, I wonder where this is gonna go. I dropped the game.
Mm-hmm.
I got to the Valka Mountains,
which is funny enough, the place I also dropped the game at.
And I dropped the game. That was like 4 years ago, whenever Definitive Edition came out. So I don't remember. It was sometime 2020. So during the pandemic. So, or during the peak of the pandemic. And I stopped playing it. I got to that point. I stopped playing. I had 80 hours in it. I stopped playing it. Fast forward to maybe 2 weeks ago. I was bored. Didn't know what to do. I had that empty feeling, and I said, maybe I'll go back to finishing Xenoblade Chronicles, because Definitive X is coming out, and I've always wanted to play the games in chronological order anyway, in order of release rather. And I know X isn't related to the rest of the series, but I'm one of those people that plays those games. I like playing games in order of release, even if they're not related to one another, because I want to see how like the design philosophies change and adapt and grow. So I was like, oh, let me go finish Chronicles, because I'll probably impulsively buy X when it comes out. So I want to be caught up, whatever. So I get back to Xenoblade, and little did I know that Xenoblade Chronicles around the 80th hour mark goes full mask off in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
I was right at the point where that game stopped kind of like teasing you about what it was about. And immediately it's like you get to like that 80-hour mark and you're like, damn, this is good, but fuck, I still have no idea what's going on. And if you can get past that area, because that area is also really big and in my opinion, a little too big for scale. If you get past that area, you get to some of the best, most articulate, most elaborate, most comprehensive conversation about the concepts of autonomy, the importance of unity, the dangers of generational trauma, which if you are the child of immigrants, you'll get it. You will get that. You don't necessarily have to be the child of an immigrant, but it's very easy to understand if you are. There's other kinds of generational trauma, but that's like the most obvious one to me anyway. Collective burden, conversations about collective burden, like conversations about like breaking cycles of violence, stuff that and all packaged under this overall premise of like the whole game, sort of like the whole game, right? Like Shulk is a guy, right? And he holds the Monado. And what
typical, like, oh, he's the special boy, huh?
He's the little special boy.
when I tuned into you streaming it and that one moment happened and then that reveal was there, I was like, oh, this is actually interesting.
Yeah. And like, I was like, he's the little special boy, whatever. And the whole premise of Xenoblade Chronicles, like the whole, like one of the important mechanics is that you can see what's going to happen next. Shulk can see the future. Shulk can get premonitions of what's going to happen before it happens, thanks to the Monado. This is the premise of the story. And he uses that power to prevent disaster. And over time, he begins, at first he uses that power to like enact his, sort of pursue his vengeance. But over time, he starts using that power to de-escalate. He starts using that power to avoid like more consequences and stuff like that. And over time, it's really cool. The story evolves. So you have these characters who begin wrapped in this cycle of violence, who don't think twice about the cycle of violence. They're just, that's their lives. You know, that is where they are in war, essentially. Over time, they learn about why they're at war. They learn about who is performing the war, who's perpetrating the war. They learn about the people that are victims of the war, that aren't just them. They learn about other people, other cultures. They grow to have a better understanding of the world around them.
And to chime in really quick, a neat thing about that is the like, because all of them are like, you say victim, the war is like really bad. Your entire cast are basically victimized by this conflict. So there's a good friction in like learning more information about both sides of this.
Yes.
And like a lot of the engaging drama is the cast trying to let go.
Yes. And it is the whole story is about breaking down the generational trauma of these characters, understanding why they are in the situation they're in, learning more about the situation itself beyond just what they've been told or what they've not necessarily. It's really interesting because like they don't necessarily call it propaganda. They're not necessarily like fallen for propaganda. This is so far ahead down that pipeline that the propaganda basically doesn't like really exist. It's not something that's consciously perpetrated.
There's no governments in this society, which is really fun. It's like
just
the remnants of everything.
It's their way of life. Like literally, like that's all they know. Like this has stopped being we have to convince people to believe these things. It is just, this is it. And that framing is very important because that is how people in real life view these things. A lot of the time people aren't like, some of the stuff is so like, it doesn't really want to talk about propaganda per se. It wants to talk about like internalized prejudices. It wants to talk about internalized discrimination,
like biases and stuff.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of works through this whole thing under the guise of this being a story about changing destiny and free will, which are very traditional RPG concepts. The concept of you got to change your destiny, or you got to fight fate. You got to take, your life into your own hands, and you can't let predetermination like rule you and stuff like that. But where other RPGs do this and then don't say anything with it, it's literally just a platitude of, yes, you gotta actualize, you can't let destiny and fate rule you. And it's like, okay, but how does that, and this is something that's always bothered me, and this is what's created that emptiness in me when I play RPGs, is how does that translate into the real world? How does that translate into what I can actually do? Like in my life, in my actual life, beyond this abstract concept, how do I prevent predetermination? How do I enact my free will? How do I gain my autonomy? And a lot of RPGs don't have that conversation. They don't tell you about those things. They just tell you got to do this thing, but they don't help you identify the things that you can do or the things that prevent you from doing that. So for instance, yes, in RPGs, you have like this conversation circa 2000s to 2010s. You have a lot of YouTube videos about Final Fantasy being of anti-organized religion and talking about the church and being critical of the church. And then in some cases being critical of this concept of like an omnipotent ruler who, will guide you down the right path. And like, that's why a lot of Final Fantasies end with you fighting God and like fighting people who want to be God. but they don't necessarily like a lot of RPGs don't necessarily like, I'm not saying Final Fantasy does what I'm saying RPGs fail at doing, but like a lot of RPGs, they don't really know how to extrapolate these themes into things that actually are useful for the person playing them. Xenoblade Chronicles goes, yes, you do have to change your destiny. You got to fight against that. Yes, you can change the future. You can disrupt the cycle of violence. You can do all these things. But hey, real quick, who do you think determines your fate? Why do you think you're in that mindset in the first place? What are the obstacles to actually doing those things? And Xenoblade Chronicles points a finger and goes, that motherfucker right there. That's the motherfucker. You got to get that motherfucker. You got to tell that motherfucker to fuck off. And you got to stop doing this shit. And you got to stop doing that shit. And this guy's an idiot, but he's not the problem. So you need to focus on the real problem here. And you need to focus on the real issue. And it is this wonderful, I really don't want to spoil anything. I really don't want to spoil anything.
You're doing a good job so far.
It is so strongly, so concretely, like everything about this game pours into that conversation. Like the fact that the future telling mechanic is part of the gameplay, where if a boss is or a very powerful enemy is going to perform a move that will kill a party member, you will gain the vision of that happening, and you can warn that party member to get an automatic like free move with them, or you can warn any of your party members, and they can pull aggro from each other. They can like topple the enemy over to prevent the move from happening at all. You literally change the outcome of a battle in real time. The game tells you this is what this enemy is going to do next. And you can go, oh, I'm going to do something to make sure it doesn't do that. And yeah, that happens in a lot of RPGs anyway. But the fact that there's like a visual representation for it, there's a visual language for it, sort of cements this continuing idea of like, you are in control of your actions.
It's really cool too, because they'll like in game, they'll literally play the next like 30 seconds or so for you to see how you get fucked up and how your party ends up getting wiped or whatever. Yeah. And then lets you like work with that yourself. And then again, change the future.
Yes.
Wow. These games sound amazing.
They're good.
And it's good. The ultimate message of Xenoblade Chronicles is this. It is destiny, predetermination, fate. These things you are fighting against don't actually exist. What you are fighting against are powers and people who are exercising and abusing their power to prevent you from your free will, to prevent you from autonomy. And that's ultimately Xenoblade Chronicles' real takeaway. It's this concept of predetermination. None of that's real. That is not actually what's happening. This whole thing of fate and all this is, in reality, like the reason we believe in these things is because we are ultimately, or we feel powerless to change the future. We feel powerless to break the cycle. We feel like we are stuck in the sort of predicament that we're in, but we can change all that. And you have to, in order to do that, you have to stop the people that are trying to convince you that you are simply just a cog in a machine, that you are simply just, a person with a predetermined story, that you are nothing but an asset to be used by other people.
Really like Xenoblade 3.
and that is ultimately, that is the beauty of Xenoblade Chronicles, where it uses the most simple, cliche, familiar storytelling devices, but it not only deconstructs that, it also makes an effort to contextualize that in a real world way that is actually powerful, that is actually meaningful, that you can actually walk away from the game with and go, yeah, I actually do know how I can apply what I've learned here today. I actually do have real world parallels that I can sort of pay attention to and whatever. And it is so perfect, because like even in the gameplay elements of like the affinity chart and like growing close with other people and getting to know people from all kinds of places and doing side quests that unite those people from different places and creates a community and a culture that is influenced by many other cultures and many other communities, and sort of like bonding together with people and the dismantling of borders and like the sort of the importance of like of anti-subjugation and anti-assimilation, but still promoting unity and promoting, you know, togetherness and establishing, you know, healthy relationships with other people. Like, holy shit. What an amazing game. That is easily one of the best games I've ever played in my entire life. That has taken one of the spots in my top 5 games of all time. That is like the writing, by the way, the writing just from dialogue to dialogue is incredible. Localization, I don't know how much of that is the localization, but the English dub of Xenoblade Chronicles is impeccable. It is impeccable. The writing is impeccable. The dialogue is impeccable. The thematic concentration is I've never felt, I have not felt this way about a video game in a really long time. I don't know.
A lot of proud nodding going on right now. It's like,
God, GC's fucking eating good this week.
For real,
I'm
though.
eating so good. You have no idea.
I'm jealous.
It's a perfect game. It's perfect. It's perfect.
I've noticed something about the podcast this year. It's a great year to be GC Vasquez.
Yes.
Fucking the year of GC Vasquez.
And you know what, GC, you deserve it, because I think last year you were just sort of like, I don't know, like, did you enjoy a lot of stuff last year? I know I never enjoy anything, so I can't say shit.
What did I play last year? I actually have it all here. I played Fields of Mystria was good.
Yeah, but it wasn't like phenomenal, right? Like there was nothing that you played that made you feel this strongly, right?
No, I haven't felt this way in years. In at least 10 years, I haven't felt this way about
God,
a video
I wish
game.
that were me.
Highly recommend Xenoblade Chronicles to anyone who hasn't played it. Please play the definitive edition. I will say there's a reason why I waited until the definitive edition, because I probably saw the Wii version of that game and was like, this looks fucking bad. And I don't mean bad as in visually ugly. I mean the UX, UI looked, I mean, if you look at screenshots of the Wii version of that game, it's like the UI elements take up like 60% of the screen. You fight some pretty big fucking enemies.
It's really funny that they took like the opposite, like they took that to the extreme when they made X's original UI, where the UI is way too tiny and unreadable, which is something Definitive fixes. They've come a long way on their UI, I'd say.
Yeah,
It's really funny when you were talking about all this, and I just let you yap because it was very entertaining, and you're right about everything. But Definitive Edition came out basically right around the same time as Last of Us 2 did. So in this, like, I remember the Twitter discourse of everyone talking about like, oh, the cycle of violence and this game does it well or this game doesn't. And I was playing Xenoblade away from that whole discussion, just like, oh, here's a game that actually feels like it has something meaningful to say about the cycle of violence. That's so rare.
And
games.
isn't just voyeuristic in terms of its violence, because The Last of Us is just fucking like it's vile. Like it's actually just vile for the sake of being vile.
Pouring one out for Vita Girl.
Who's Vita Girl?
Oh, it's there's a character in Last of Us 2, like one of the NPCs that you just sneak up with while she's playing a Vita, and Ellie brutally murders her, and it's just like, come on, not Vita Girl.
Yeah, because it's like why does that violence in The Last of Us exist in the way that it does? And I think that also needs to be questioned. Like, at some point, there is, like, violence for the sake of voyeurism, and that's what I feel like The Last of Us has become.
Yeah.
Not that it was, like, the first game was spectacular in any regards. It just followed a trend set by The Walking Dead, which sort of, at that time, changed the trajectory of the games industry, because it won the Game Award over, like, Call of Duty or some shit, and, you know, like, actual good post-apocalyptic story about dad and daughter, and then The Last of Us just strolled along, and man, cry, game good, extremely good 3D models, I suppose, graphics, and then The Last of Us 2 trying so hard to be a shitty HBO TV show, in which it succeeded. But it's good to hear of a game that actually engages with the cycle of violence meaningfully and doesn't make you feel sick playing it.
Well, it's always nice when writers feel confident enough to answer the questions they are bringing up.
It also is nice that Xenoblade Chronicles is a look at the cycle of violence from a self-critical perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, yes. Okay, I gotta play this fucking game.
Where it's like Last of Us there, you're jerking off over misery porn, and by you I mean Neil Druckmann. And it's just like, I'm so smart, I'm talking about the things, and you play the game and they go, well, shit sucks, I don't know. And that's it. And, some people might find that deep in and of itself, the fact that there is no answer. But it's nice when, like, you see a writer go, okay, so this sucks. This is what I would do. Because that's infinitely more interesting of media to engage with than one that goes, there is no answer ever at all.
There's just no right answer to the brutal murder of each other. Really, I mean, that's just human. It's just, we're just gonna, people just fight, when there's like
status
disagreement and
I
like,
love the status quo.
The cycle of violence really, like it. I don't know. Ultimately, I feel like The Last of Us is like, the cycle of violence is bad and we really should break it, but I don't think we should be the first ones to do it.
Yeah. It's them going like, someone should do something about this, huh?
It's basically like, I'll stop when they stop. And like that's like the most like fucking stupid fucking thing you can say. And it's like it says nothing.
Yeah.
It's literally just like eye for an eye. Isn't that bad anyways?
Yeah. Isn't this sad?
Stabs you in the eye.
It's it's really interesting because spoken charitably, because I want to replay 2 for myself and like give it a more nuanced like look than I did when I was an angry like young adult, still basically a teenager, is like all the games kind of handle those general like questions from different perspectives of these like conflicts, and with like building ideas on like what the best thing to do about these. And again, everything you've said to me, GC, tells me you're probably really going to like 3.
Oh yeah.
Like 3 is the most like we've been building on these ideas. This is our ultimate answer to everything we have ever talked about.
Cool.
And it's that kind of game that's like, y'all, it's like, hey, the world sucks, go kill politicians.
Yeah. And I want to point out that like a lot of people that have played a lot of the Xeno games will probably be like, yeah, but Xenoblade Chronicles is doing like a very similar story to like Xenosaga and Xenogears. It's sort of like in that same wheelhouse. So really this is a case of the writer being like having really like being really dedicated to talking about this specific kind of thing. But as someone who has friends,
bad.
No,
yeah,
that's awesome.
That's not necessarily bad. And also as someone whose friends have basically played all of that other stuff.
Hi. Well, not all of it, but hi.
Yeah, I have friends that have played like Xenosaga and all of Xenogears and all that stuff. And then it was like, they were like, the thing about the Xeno series of games, because technically Xenoblade is part of the series, but due to licensing issues, they can't like
it is
outright say it is. So there's like a lot of
continuity with some winks and some nudges.
Yeah.
But it is still like everything you need to enjoy Xenoblade is in the series called Xenoblade.
Yeah. I know that, but there's like little
just for the audience.
Yeah, I've been told that there's like little things that like they kind of point at the other games and be like, oh, that might be a whatever.
Look, it's Jesus Christ.
But they literally can't say that. Yeah, but they literally can't say that it is. Because of licensing issues. But like the thing about
go on the Xenosaga Wikipedia page and type in Jesus Christ and hit enter.
Spoilers beware.
Wait,
you're in for a
what?
scare. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ is a character in the Xenosaga games.
Yeah. It's wild. But like the thing about like the Xeno series or the Xeno anthology, as it were, is that every time they do one, they shift that general idea, the writer shifts certain elements around to make it a new conversation about those things. And you can actually see like confidence build in his writing. He's improved a lot. And he's gotten better at like his things. And you can see him become more articulate and like ditch certain things about how he feels about the situation, and also it grows, like his perspective changes. And I gotta say, as someone who has covered long running series and played a lot of long running series, that doesn't always happen with writers. Sometimes writers stagnate, sometimes writers regress, sometimes writers get worse at telling the same fucking story. And the fact that like it seems as though this writer, whose name I forget, and I'm so sorry, but he's super well known. The fact that he seems to sort of like his opinion gets stronger, but also changes over time.
Tatsuya Takahashi.
Tatsuya Takahashi. Thank you. The fact that Tatsuya Takahashi's like skill as a writer seems to have improved, and he's like gotten better at talking about the one thing he talks about, is not as common as you think, and is a very good sign that he believes in what he's saying, and that he has his heart in a very good place, and his core sort of like fundamentals, both as a writer and as a human being, are sound. And I don't want to like be like, he's such a good person, because I don't like doing that. I don't like any idolatry of any kind, but
his
like,
work though speaks to someone who wants better for the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you talk about like the quality of like writing degrading among some creators and even getting more like regressive, I literally think of Matsuno, whose writing I used to like really admire and love. And then he started talking about like all the shit regarding like the Olympics in Japan, and his like storyline he wrote for like Final Fantasy 14, and how like it just wasn't his personal politics, and his writing dropped off so hard that it was just sort of like, I can't believe this is the same person that wrote like Vagrant Story and Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre.
He got old.
And yeah, and that happens, and it's fucking depressing, but it is what it is. So I'm glad this isn't the case for this writer.
Yep. It's incredible. Takahashi seems to have a very strong, whether self-taught or academic, very strong education in creative writing. Very, very, very strong knowledge, very strong skill set. Like even if what he was talking about was like, even if I felt what he was talking about was actually more harmful than helpful, like I would still have to give him credit for the fact that he wrote it in a like his writing is just very strong, just very consistent. I will protect his children.
3. Nods in Xenoblade 3. He wrote Xenogears with his wife. If you didn't know that.
Oh, is that why everything is like really heterosexual?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm just like, that explains all of the heterosexuality.
Yeah, because they probably wrote it together and they're probably in love with each other.
It is Xenogears
actually.
In abstract is essentially looking at like the relationship between like, you know, husband and wife, and you can make that argument. It is, there feels like there's a lot of their relationship that is brought out in Xenogears.
And in
like critical
way,
and like critical in ways that do feel like generally helpful. Like Xenogears is an old game. There's like one or two things that are a bit like, but like overall, like you could play Xenogears and go, yeah, this dude's heart is in the right place. Like,
yeah,
like it always has been. And it's really like the fact that I go from Xenogears to playing Xenoblade 3 and go like, wow, this dude did not fall off, is just kind of mind blowing.
Kaz, you were gonna say?
Oh, not unlike Metal Gear Solid.
Where
fucking you know, where it's like,
it.
yeah, fucking Kojima and his wife.
I went
do you even know what day it is today?
I went into your room and there was just a bed and a desk. What the fuck is wrong with you?
You should ask Jake about that sometime. He'll have something really funny to say about me. So yeah, no, I'm glad this guy has a good relationship with his wife and it's made its way into his work. Maybe I'll actually try Xenoblade and everything.
Oh my god, please do.
Because like that was the one thing keeping me away from 3. It was like, yes, everybody's getting paired up into like their heterosexual pairs, and I have a very, very like lack of patience for all of that.
Yeah.
In 3,
but if
only
it's
one of
written
them
well-
is romantic.
Yeah. If it's written well, that's all that matters. I sound like a fucking heterosexual hater, but as long as it's written well, I don't fucking care.
A lot of
Like-
my friends also have that problem with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, actually. My other friends
Really?
who are diehard Xeno fans are also like, yeah, it's a little too.
There's some het stuff, I will say. It
It's
is
a little too
still,
straight.
I'd say Xenoblade 3 is like top 3 video game of all time for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely you're not alone on that, Kazuma. Like, yeah. I have other friends that get that vibe too. They love that game, but they also are like, damn, this yeah. None of them are
It was
cishet.
straight.
None of them are cishet, so
Yeah.
they also like notice it and are like, oh yeah, that's a problem. I was like, okay,
But you know
cool.
what? As long as those characters are written well, I don't fucking care. I'll love it. Final Fantasy X. I love Tidus and Yuna. They're like my favorite. So, in my gay little heart, there's room for heterosexuals.
See, your RPG het story is improved by a billion if your guy is one of the most autistic dudes ever made, and that's Noah Xenoblade. That's my goat right there.
Yeah, but is he only hyper fixated on his girlfriend?
It's not really hyperfixations, and he's an interesting guy. I literally can't talk about this or it will
Okay, because GC needs to get to it. So
Yep.
we'll have this conversation in the future.
I'll
And I
unravel
will
it.
probably also play.
he is a
Um,
fascinating guy. Takahashi knows how to write him.
Cool
So
stuff.
there is a game that all of us have been playing though,
Oh yeah.
and that's Midster Hunter.
Midster
So,
Hunter.
Feinster
Um,
Hunter.
Yeah, it's a fine game, I reviewed it for Polygon. People were pretty. I saw people being normal about it, and then I saw people that followed me that were part of the games industry that didn't actually read it and weren't aware that I wrote it say some really dumb things
Uh-oh.
about it. But Monster Hunter Wilds came out. It's a sort of pared down version of World, in my opinion. It feels a lot smaller, which you think would mean that it's like a tighter, more refined experience. But in the way that they've pared it down, it really no longer feels like Monster Hunter. And some people will be like, well, I only played World and that was my experience with it. Like the entire series, I only played Rise, so I don't really get that. But in old Monster Hunter games, there was a lot of preparation that went on. So I'm like waving my phone around right now as I'm talking about this, by the way. Like I'm holding a fucking lecture. This is my TED Talk. So basically, before you would hunt, there would be a lot of preparation in terms of gathering materials to make potions, grill steaks, paintballs, like all of it, right? Because it was all a very deeply involved process because the core mechanic of the game is hunting and preparing for that hunt. As the games have progressed, it's sort of moved away from that preparation and focused more on the action. And with Worlds specifically and Wilds, it takes that further. And in my opinion, in its attempt to cater to a more global audience, its mechanics, as a result, have leaned into its more colonial narrative and approach to how the games fundamentally work. And you guys can obviously disagree with me and everything, but it's just there's like a severe lack of community, and in these games you are no longer part of the community that you're hunting for and from. So I think a lot of it's fascinating how this game series has progressed and whether or not Capcom has meant for this colonial narrative to sort of just bleed into the franchise intentionally or unintentionally. Impact Monster Hunter. I will say that, yeah, for me, it's very Cullen's introduced me to the word mid, and I use it all the time now for things like this. It's very mid to me, and I guess the DLC content will probably make it harder, but it was just there was like no real challenge and therefore no real reason to engage with the game completely or fully, and I think that sucks because I think Monster Hunter used to be this sort of like, you guys talk about like I think like Tokiden and Freedom Wars and
Wars.
everything, right?
Yeah.
And how it like the survival horror genre in which Resident Evil was like sort of like the longest lasting of its genre for such a long time, Monster Hunter sort of feels the same way. And to see it sort of lose its core identity and what made it really interesting as a result kind of sucks. So
Yeah.
GC, you're dealing with one of my biggest gripes right now, and that is the forest walking segments.
To kind of outline where we're all at with this game, just to give some good context. Kaz and I got it early. GC just started playing it. I've been working on a couple guides for RPG side on this. I have finished low rank and I've gotten a bit into high rank. GC is, I'd say, pretty early on in low rank. Have you made any progress since we last played?
I fought spider number 2 just now.
Okay.
Earlier today.
Cause, did you do high rank?
Yeah, I have 60 hours in the game.
Okay. So
whenever I join friends, it's on like a side profile now because I just
Yeah.
But yeah, GC. So what are you kind of like? You're like fresh. You're a freshly born Bab. You're seeing the world with fresh, pure eyes instead of us who are tired and haggard. What do you? Welcome to the GC podcast, everybody. I will talk more about Monster Hunter, but yeah, GC. What are you kind of having issues with right now?
Well, I'll tell you right off the bat. This game performs like shit.
Oh, it's doo-doo, butt cheeks, ass.
For everybody cavity. But me.
No,
for
hear me out.
Everybody, yeah, okay?
Hear me out. It runs well on your system. It runs well on my system. It should be running at least twice as good.
Yeah, because it looks like butt cheeks.
Okay. So that's the thing, right? Is it runs fine. It runs good on our rigs. The hardware is not the problem.
Pretty good rigs.
Right. I have a pretty high-end rig. I think I have the most high-end rig out of all of us right now. It performs. It's fine.
Not when I take your graphics card and put it in my machine.
There are games that look better than Monster Hunter Wilds. That look way better than Monster Hunter Wilds. That perform way better than Monster Hunter Wilds. There is no reason why, with a 13th gen Intel CPU that had the voltage issue patched out already, by the way, with a 4070 card with 64 gigabytes of RAM, there's no reason on an M.2 SSD. There's no reason that this game should be dipping below 60 with just high resolution, not the high resolution textures that you can download, just the regular ones that come in the base game. With the textures being as they are, the game more or less, just it's I believe it's the same, a lot of the same stuff from World. I believe it's a lot of the same stuff from Rise as far as like skeletons, animation rigging, the way you have done armor sets and stuff. It is very strange that this game runs as poorly as it does, given the way it looks. That being said,
and it looks like ass if you don't get that texture pack. By the way, I totally forgot about that.
God, it looks
really
like
bad.
Booty butt.
The
monsters look great.
The default high textures are like just bad.
They're muddy.
And then
like
looks like your mud. Yeah.
And then there's like really bad texture compression. That Digital Foundry video on the PC port of Monster Hunter Wilds is great. Like the pointing out that like those white coats that you can see on some of the NPCs in the story, how they have like this weird color shimmering look to it. That's not supposed to be there. That is that's artifacting from the compression. Like that, those are compression artifacts. That's a bug. They're not supposed to look like that. But like, yeah, so the game looks like shit. It runs like shit. I'm not saying it's like runs like really poorly. I'm saying that it should be running so much better for what it is.
Mm-hmm. I upgraded my PC just to be able to play the game better. Cause, I had a, 5800 X3D with a 3080 card, and it was like basically like 40 to 50 FPS, like in that range constantly. So I spent a lot of money to get like a new motherboard, new RAM, new processor. I got a 9800 X3D, which is like a lot of people say is the best processor for gaming on the market right now. And it finally started to kind of stabilize. And no matter what I can do, baked into the game itself is some kind of like, I don't know if it's anti-aliasing or internal upscaling or what. The game just always looks bad. It's like the internal resolution is just poor. And even if you turn off upscaling, the game looks muddy and gross.
Yeah.
And I was still running around areas yesterday, in like the forest area, and it would just like spike to 20 FPS. And it's like, what is happening? Yep. There's no reason my game should be running this bad.
Yep. Performance issues aside, this has got to be the most grueling, plodding, low rank experience I've ever had in I've been playing Monster Hunter since 3U. This has got to be the most plodding low rank experience I've ever had in a long time. And that's saying something, considering that I think if you measure how long low rank is in this, it's actually not as long as it is in other Monster Hunters. But I have put down this game several times because my entire experience, how many hours do I got in this fucking thing? I have 10 hours in this already. Every time I complete a quest, first of all, you start out by doing a walk and talk into the open world area where I was like, neat, you're introducing the environment. Great, fine. You fight a monster and you would think, well, now that I have this open world area unlocked, I'm going to go do whatever I want. No, you can't do that. Why can't I do that? Because you unlock new monsters by doing more low rank main scenario stuff. So if they let you out, this is my reasoning. If they let you out into the world now, nothing's going to be in it. So they won't let you do that. Instead, you get teleported back to a base to do a cutscene. And then you go back out. Oh, but now I get to explore the world. No. Now you got to do another walk and talk segment that walks you through the open world area to another fight or maybe another cutscene. Who knows? And then eventually you'll fight another monster. And then you beat that monster. And you're like, great, now I'm going to go explore the world. No, we're teleporting you back to base again. Sometimes we don't teleport you to base at all and you're stuck in a zone and you can't like discard your inventory. Like you can't put your stuff in an item box. So your inventory is now full, but they still want you to go fight another monster, or like you've run out of like your food buff or something and you can't like re-up it. And you just have to go fight another monster with like your limited stuff. And then eventually you'll be taken back to a point where you can do that. Can I fast travel back to a base maybe and then come back to this other base now that I'm in like, I have like, I'm at a base, I'm not at a base. No. Okay, can I at least like walk ahead of the walk and talk? Can I at least like if they give me a waypoint,
go off the beaten path?
Can I do that? Like, can they just give me a waypoint and then I'll meet them there? Like, is certain areas blocked off because I haven't unlocked the monsters for those areas, so they don't want me to go there and just see that it's empty and nothing's happening? No, you will do the walk and talk. You cannot walk ahead of the walk and talk. If you do, the game will turn you around. There was a time where I got turned around for going the way I'm supposed to go because everybody else hadn't like gotten that far yet, and I got confused and I thought I wasn't supposed to go that way, so I tried to go other ways and the game kept pushing me around and I was like, oh shit, did I run into a bug? That wasn't the case.
Cutscene's over there, idiot.
Yeah, so you can't do that.
What's really funny about that is during those walk and talks, especially the ones that are like fake, trying to be like, you should really explore this wonderful area. Look around. I remember like the forest one being like that, where it's like, go look at all this stuff. And you like wander a certain direction. It's like, not that way. No.
Don't go there though.
And they don't make it clear. It's not like there's like, I tried to sneak away into a little section hidden. It was just like, oh, okay, let me like walk a bit to the left and like, stop.
Yeah.
Walk behind these people and talk. What kind of game you think this is? Say Monster Hunter. This is Dude Talker.
I love you, Cullen. You're so fucking funny.
And you would think, okay, well, maybe this is only going to happen for a couple hours so they can do tutorials for me, right? No, I'm 10 hours in and I'm still doing this walk and talk shit. I'm still doing this. And people are saying, well, the high rank stuff gets better. And that might be true. And I fully believe it. But 10 hours and I'm not done with the low rank stuff. And I have to wait until I am done with the low rank stuff to get to the point of the game where I can actually do the things that they were promising in the marketing, being like, oh yeah, it's an open world Monster Hunter. That's ridiculous. And to the people who are like, well, what did you expect? I mean, they got to show you all this. Here's an example. Tokiden 2 is an open world monster hunting game on the fucking Vita. In that game, you take a bunch of quests, they give you a marker on the map, and they go, see you when you get there. I'll see you when I see you. Go do whatever you want. And you can go do as many quests as you want at once. You can fuck around as much as you want. You can play around as much as you want. You can even find secrets that are hidden in the open world as much as you want. You can do all kinds of that stuff. And at no point does that game ever railroad you. Are some areas inaccessible until you advance the main quest?
I also want to mention something.
Yeah.
You don't even unlock all of the features of the game in low rank.
Utterly ridiculous.
You don't even get taught how to trap until you're in high rank.
Yeah.
Utterly ridiculous. Like if you're gonna if the low rank experience is meant to onboard new players, all of that should be in the low rank. Then that means that all of those mechanics should be taught to low rank players before they get into high rank. Because you know it's gonna be really frustrating for people when they go into high rank quests and your low rank players don't know how to fucking capture a monster. Like the new audience doesn't know how to capture a fucking monster, and they just beat the shit out of a monster that you want to capture, and they die, and the monster dies, and you're like, great, we just spent 15 minutes wasting our fucking time because this one rando doesn't know you can capture monsters. And it's so baffling to me that they spent so much time stressing how they wanted to make this more approachable for more people, how they wanted to attract a general audience, a wider audience for Monster Hunter. And I'm like, First of all, people are going to point at the peak number of players for Monster Hunter Wilds compared to Monster Hunter Worlds and go, well, look, it's working. No. The reason Monster Hunter Wilds has broken records for peak audience is because over time, Monster Hunter Worlds attracted that wider audience they wanted. They already have the wider audience from Monster Hunter World. They didn't need to further simplify and further handhold and further railroad all of these things because that audience was already there. Over time, Worlds and Rise built that audience already. You don't need to further get more people. There's a finite number of people in this world who are going to play Monster Hunter, and the numbers that you got at launch are the over time audience you've gained from World and Rise. So no, it's not an indicator that Wilds is more approachable. How does that logic even work? Oh, they made it more approachable, so more people are going to buy it. No, the reason you make games more approachable is so that people who pick it up stick with it. But that doesn't actually attract newer audiences. That doesn't get people to buy your game. What gets people to buy your game is A, popularity. If it's really popular, people will play it. And B, previous entries, especially in long-running IPs. So Worlds and Rise did the work for you. You didn't have to earn more people through Wilds. Those people that are playing now are not brand new. They're coming from World and Rise.
Yeah.
And before anybody wants to disagree with us on that statement, Wilds sold 1 million copies like the week before this. No, sorry, World sold 1 million copies before the week this game released. And if you just look at like how many people have bought Wilds, Iceborne, and Rise as a total amount, it's like I think like over like 20 million or something, like total.
Yeah.
So everything you're saying, GC, is correct. I just want people in the audience that just don't know the shit that are going to be like, well, actually, you're wrong. And those are all new players. No, it is literally all the people that have played Monster Hunter historically, with more than likely some new people picking it up. But like, it's a huge selling franchise at this point. It is Capcom's best selling franchise over Resident Evil now.
Yeah, I think World is their like #1 best selling game of all time.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Nobody buys a new video game after being told, oh, it's easier now. They buy a new video game because you tell them, oh, the last one was really good, so this one's probably going to be really good. Or, oh, the last one was really good, and I couldn't get in on it with my friends when they bought it, so this time I'm going to be there when it comes out, and we're going to play it together. You know, that's why they buy those games. So the most important thing for a Monster Hunter game is, one, make sure the multiplayer works, because Monster Hunter, like you were saying, Kazuma, is a community-based thing, both in single player and multiplayer. That is a focus. Community is a big focus. And two, make sure that when people buy it, they can run it well. And Wilds has done neither of those things. The lobby system in Wilds is really convoluted for some reason. There's no gathering hub.
Oh, they're going to add that, so don't worry.
Sure.
It's in the first title update. And it's like, honestly, before I heard that, because, you know, when I was playing, that was not announced yet. I was just like, you know, since they have it so that like there is no like hub just in general and you're always on the move, maybe that was just like a decision they made. Like, and honestly, if that was just a decision they made, they said like, this does not line up with the, like, you know,
it's open world.
With our idea of where we want this franchise to go, I'd be like, I don't like that, but I get it. And then I heard it was coming in title update 1, and I'm like, cool, this game was unfinished.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, it's the most grueling beginning experience. And I don't know, people have been saying, oh, just put up with it and then you'll get to high rank and it'll be better. And I'm like, I'm already 10 hours in. 10 hours is too long. I'm sorry, but the experience gets soured and then it takes a long time to feel better about it. And most people are not going to put in the time for the game to make up for that. And they shouldn't have to.
Absolutely.
This is like, video games are not this fucking video games are not this fucking thing where it's like, oh, well, you gotta put in the work to enjoy it. No, they should be enjoyable out of the box. It's a toy. It's a toy.
Yes.
It can be artistic. It can have artistic value, but it's a toy. It's a toy. It's supposed to be fun. It's not exercise. I don't play a video game and come out of it with 6-pack abs. Why am I suffering? Why am I having a bad time? I shouldn't be having a bad time. I shouldn't be having a bad time to get to a good time. It's not working out. I'm not like suffering working out because I enjoy it. I'm doing it because I get returns on it. But a video game is not like that. It's not self-improvement. It's indulgence. That's all it is. Video games are indulgent. They are indulgent things. They should be fun. They should be hedonistic. I should enjoy them from the get-go. Anyway, this is, it's just so disappointing because and to say nothing of the very extreme colonial perspective that the narrative has. I'm enjoying certain things. Like whenever a monster shows up in a cutscene and the monsters are fighting, I'm like, that looks cool. That's actually kind of neat.
Cutscenes are really good. Like
yes.
you see, it's like, oh wow, that's some art. That's they put some serious work into these. These are really cool. But also, I don't want to sit through the story.
I don't want to sit through the story. And also I don't know. I just feel like it's so weird that Monster Hunter 4U had a bunch of characters that I remember, right? And I remember skipping through all the dialogue in that game, but I remember the characters in that. I remember Joseph Joestar, treasure hunter guy, telling me, yeah, we're going to go look for a thing. Oh, by the way, have you heard of this? Oh, looks like the guild needs help doing this thing. And that's where we're going anyway. So we might as well just kill 2 birds with one. I remember that stuff. I'm watching this story and I'm rolling my eyes because I'm like, the beginning premise is that you meet these natives and they look at your fucking pointy stick and they're like, what's that? What is that? What is this thing that you have on your back? That's how you fight. You can fight monsters? Wow. I'm a stupid prey animal.
To just sit here and die.
Get eaten. Yeah. I'm a stupid prey animal. I don't know about defending myself. I don't know basic things that ancient civilizations came up with on their own. I'm an idiot. Wow, Mr. Person from the West. Your big stick is really good at protecting people. We just put little wind chimes on everything. Woo, wow. And then there's little scenes. Sorry, there's the yesterday I was playing through a scene where we showed up to a new settlement and they have a fucking forge. This tribe has a fucking metal forge. And they don't make weapons. Are you kidding me? Anyway, so your characters, your guild members, essentially, they show up and they're like, hi, we're the Stone Tribe. We work the forge. And then the fucking blacksmith of your group goes, oh, I'll take the Grand Tour, please. Which I thought was which if you don't know, is incredibly fucking offensive to say to somebody when you show up to their fucking place. Especially if you're showing up to a new civilization, a new culture, and you're like, yes, please show me around. Show me your quaint little village. And then the fucking tribe people respond with, sure, right away, of course. And it's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? You should tell that fucking lady to go fuck herself. It's so
you
bizarre.
Can't be saying that, white baby.
Yeah, it's fuck you. You should kick that lady in the fucking stomach. And it's so messed up and it's so ugh. And then otherwise it's fine, we're searching for a monster or whatever. And there's these little details that are cool, the hunter waiting for the handler to authorize his use of his weapon, which I actually kind of like. I like that little world building detail of
when I think about that, I'm like, yeah, but who's giving us the right to do that?
No, you're not. I'm not saying you're wrong to think that. I'm just saying it's it's an interesting dynamic that just like watching it play out from like a, I don't know, like
it feels like an overcorrection to me.
Sure, like they're trying to like do a big world building element and they're like doing too much.
See, but we're not engaging in colonialism or overharvesting or anything like that because we have permission to do these things. And it's like, yeah, but you're also not the people that should be the ones giving that permission.
The tribes in that area should be, first of all, like really, if you think about it, the tribes in that area should be the ones giving you authorization to like disrupt their ecosystem.
Yes.
And that's actually a really good point. So it's like, but that's what I mean, right? Where it's like this whole like, oh, you have to get authorized. Like hunters can't just like wave their weapons around whenever they want. They have to get authorized first. Like I like that detail, but it's also like in the mix of like this obvious like pro-colonial thing. And like that's what makes it frustrating is that those prestige cutscenes and like these little world building details are really good, but they are ultimately in service to like this really annoying premise for a story. This forced story, right? Where like we have to engage with it in the way they want us to engage with it. Like we can't just like go do something else and then engage with it when we're ready. Like we are forced to engage with it, right? The game is on rails for a long time. That by the time I get to high rank, I'm going to be exhausted. I'm going to be underwhelmed. I'm going to be like, man, like finally I can play the game, but I'm going to be like, but I already spent like 20 hours. Like I'm not going to fucking put in 100 hours into Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm not going to put in 80 hours.
I'm currently burnt out and don't want to play high rank right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have like, I can tell you what my fucking, what my playtime is in World. I have 51 hours in World, right? And it's just like, that's probably my average playtime across Monster Hunter games. I've already spent a fifth of my time doing these forced gameplay segments that even fighting the monster, even though fighting the monster feels really good, I kind of like the wound system a lot. My friend Nat was like, you know, the wound system is cool, but monsters just die too fast. So really, if you wanted to do the wound system, I would make monsters a little bit beefier so that it sort of compensates for it.
That's another thing. Low rank is a joke.
Low rank's a fucking joke. And like, I'm seeing it now with my friends. My other friend just beat low rank last night or earlier today. And they went on one hunt with another one of my friends who also beat the low rank story. They went on one hunt. And my friend was like, oh, okay, I think I'm done for now. And like, it's like one fucking hunt in a Monster Hunter game that supposedly has been streamlined and made easier and like made more engaging and has been designed to make fights happen more often so that you're playing more and more. One hunt. This person got through one fucking hunt after getting through the low rank stuff. Are you kidding me? Like, this is so antithetical to what their mission statement has supposedly been.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't think it's like a bad game, but as someone again who's been here since 3EU and knows what he wants from this, like I am someone who skipped every fucking cutscene because it's like with the like acknowledgement that like I'm just not going to speak on the story because I don't like, you know, I didn't watch it. Yeah. I didn't engage with it. So I'm not going to say anyone's thoughts pro or con on the story are invalid. It's just like, I know what I'm here for, but like, even as someone who like did like skip cutscenes and just basically got the content tube given to me directly, it was just like, okay, like, I don't know. Like a lot of discourse has been like had around this game about like, is it actually easy or have people gotten better? And it's like, well, like, yeah, I'm sure like a lot of like hardcore fans are like really good at the game now. It just feels skewed in a way.
Well, no, someone literally said that I shouldn't have reviewed the game because I'm too good at video games.
See, that's the crazy thing is like, because that implies, and we've talked about this before, that implies that there's only a certain type of person who can play and review a game. And it's like, that's fucking stupid. Like, literally, you need your perspective there so that other people who are also too good at video games can know if that aligns with you, like if they're going to find the game too easy. Just as we need like people who've never played a Monster Hunter game reviewing this to tell the newcomers if they'll enjoy it or not. It's so stupid. People are so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, and like, I don't really like, while I would like the game to have a bit more like, you know, bite to it, like ultimately, like I'm here to like play games with my friends. Like I've accepted that this is just kind of what the series is now, and that I will have to wait like a year to see if like it will give me the stuff I like actually want, which is in like whatever expansion content it makes. But it's just like, it feels like I'm so conflicted on this because I guess I like it. I had fun playing it in spots, but it feels like the most bare bones Monster Hunter we've gotten in a while. And it's like, y'all had how long to make this? And it's this like kind of messy and unstructured of a game. Like it feels like a game made by people who were always arguing with each other.
Yeah.
Like there's no cohesive vision.
It's very contested. A lot of its like design is very like against itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, it's just not where it needs to be. And it doesn't have a clear direction.
And like, and the craziest thing is you play high rank, right? Where it's like, okay, cool. We've like dropped most of the story stuff. You get your hunts literally by going out and exploring the map and fighting monsters. And that's how you unlock your quest to post. It's like, I feel like this is what I was promised on the box. Like your open world Monster Hunter game.
How many hours are you in?
I'm like 20.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I got that around like, it took me like 15 or so for low rank. 12, 15, I'd say is like safe.
Yeah. It took me around 10. So GC, I'm going to assume it's going to take you another 5 hours.
Probably. Yeah.
And who knows how long of that time was me being like, okay, if I tweak this graphic option, will the game not vertex explode all over me? No. Okay. Maybe here. But like, yeah, it's just like, you know, I'm at the moment, I'm kind of just sitting back and it's like, I'm going to let my friends catch up, do like finish low rank, and then I'll like run high rank stuff with them if they even want to. And then I'll kind of see like after high rank what I think about it. But I don't know. I want those portable guys to be working on something for Switch too, because I liked Rise a lot more than this.
Yeah, Rise just felt a lot better, and I like the fact that you could like pick between the village or the story quests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing. It's like, I love the part about Monster Hunter is that's just like, hey, you can engage with the stuff if you want to, and you can get your story progression like this. But also, if you want to like fuck around with your friends, here's a little fuck around with friends quest set that's just fucking around with your, like, we have a list of quests where you can just go hunt monsters. You could do it now. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Continue.
No, that's exactly it. Because I literally did those quests before I did the story quest, thinking that, oh, I'd make the story like, I don't know, just like more tolerable that way. And that's when I fucking soloed the Magna Malo by myself with 2 gear upgrades, which, you know, that's my problem and my cross to bear. But I want something like that, right? Like I want to know if something like that is possible and doable, because that's when I find fulfillment in those kinds of games, is when they're fucking hard like that. And that's what I loved about Monster. Like, I started with Freedom Unite, and I never actually beat like the final hunt of Freedom Unite because it was too fucking hard. But I'll never forget like that specific game for that reason. And some people might be like, oh, well then, like, you know, like that just means like the game was too hard, etc., whatever. Like, but like that game is memorable to me because of the challenge that it gave me. I'm that fucking that scene from that first Thor movie where he's like, at least make it a challenge for me or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly chasing that fucking high. But I want something like that. I want something that's actually genuinely challenging and will stick with me. Monster Hunter is not doing that anymore. So I guess I have to go and play Blade and Soul or something. I don't know.
What is Blade and Soul?
So NCSoft released a new version of Blade and Soul called Blade and Soul Neo. Blade and Soul was actually developed by Team Bloodlust at NCSoft, and they were trying to make an action game MMORPG, and they actually really succeeded. That game is all skill-based. There are no healers. It's all like perfect dodging and counters. And stuff.
Yeah.
and it's really, really good. Blade and Soul Neo is basically Blade and Soul as it was originally released, but in Unreal Engine 5, and it will have its own unique classes. I'm playing a Kung Fu Master right now, and a lot of me mitigating damage is literally dodge rolling and doing perfect counters, and you can even air juggle enemies in late game. So it's just an action game. It's really cool. It's very sexy. The concept artist and studio owner for Stellar Blade actually did the designs for these games. This came out in like 2011 or whatever in like China and Korea, and then eventually came to North America in like 2016, ran like dog shit. Jake and I were playing on the Chinese servers because he lived in Beijing for a year, so he had a Chinese ID, and we had QQ accounts to play it.
Ooh.
So we were playing on the Chinese servers with like a VPN and stuff. But it's just really fun. The story is kind of like whatever. The English translation and voice acting is really, really abysmal. Like this is sort of like NC Soft slowly going into their worst in terms of that. Like, so I remember they had Wildstar and like I think Troy Baker like voiced a character in that, and they were actually trying to do like really high quality localizations and like voice acting, and then it
I
was
think
sort
that
of
stopped after Wildstar, yeah.
Yeah, and
'Cause
then
Wildstar was a
Wildstar
big
fucking
flop.
failed. Yeah, it failed, and then all the quality of NC Soft games after that just fucking went down the drain. I don't think they ever recovered from that. And they're still trying to recover from that with like Throne and Liberty, but like it's a lot of fun. If you want to play an actual skill-based MMO where your armor does not dictate how much damage you do, go play Blade and Soul. Like I just walk around half naked, punching things to death, and it feels great. I really can't describe it in any other way than it is like an action game, but an MMO. The only issue is that it's an NC Soft game, so there are like bots and gold farmers and shit. But you know, GC, if you're looking for a new MMO to play, I'd actually suggest just trying this. You might actually enjoy it because it's actually kind of fucking hard because you can leave the area you're in and go to other areas and try to solo like harder content, and it is possible because Jake and I were doing that. We were running a raid boss that should take maybe like 5 or so people, and we duoed it on Kung Fu Masters by swapping aggro and just countering all the attacks.
Ooh, yeah.
Yes.
I love a good MMO that's like, fuck it.
Whatever,
Do you think
man.
you're so fucking good? Why don't you do it? And it's like, all right, I will. Oh.
So,
You think you're better unless you make your own fun.
By the way, if
Yeah.
you're out there designing an MMO, I got a great tip for you. UI is everything.
oh,
UI
God,
is
it
everything. People will play a bad MMO if the UI looks nice and it doesn't like brush them the wrong way or rub them the
Yeah.
wrong way.
I want to see your bald creation in Blade and Soul. So, oh, and yeah, Blade and
I
Soul,
gotta get
you
on
can
it.
customize everything about your character, including like your foot size and shit. So,
Oh, GC would really appreciate that.
I don't know why I said foot. I'm so sorry, but it's like the amount of detail, right? Like I can change my foot size, right?
Yeah.
I'll post a picture of my character so you can kind of get like an idea of like what you can make Blade and Soul characters look like. Where are my screenshots? I think it's like all the way at the bottom. Is it all the way? So this is my Blade and Soul character. You can make them look quite nice. It's like you can customize everything about their faces and whatnot. It's just,
Oh,
just
wow.
fucking Blade and Soul.
Can you describe
My-
your character for the audience listening at home?
Okay, so there's like a character like my Force Master, which is like a mage. He has like messy black hair and like a beard and scars on his mouth. And then my Kung Fu Master is like a lady with like just a fucking K-pop star with like a mole on her nose and like side swept hair. But if you're a lady, you can adjust your breast size in 3 different ways and your ass. So if you're into that, ladies, go for it. So me out there trying to reduce the chest slider as much as possible to prevent the jiggling.
Please, please.
Please. Yeah, so this is also the uncensored version, so the outfits are extra sexy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, like
Spicy.
Trust me when
blades
I
and
say I got my whole-
holes.
Yeah, I got my whole Bucci out, so... Yeah, and even if you're a guy, by the way, like, it's not that you're covered up as a guy, you are also almost equally as naked as the women, so just keep that in mind as well when you play.
We love an
Um,
equal opportunity, sexy game.
Yeah, it's fun. It's good. I'm having a good time. I'm going to review it for MMORPG. I can say that because the game is obviously already out. So look forward to my review. If you liked Blade and Soul when it launched, you will love Blade and Soul Neo. I'm having a fucking fantastic time.
Nice.
Are we doing questions this time around? Is there anything?
I don't think we got any. But I was gonna say, kind of closing thoughts on Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
I definitely understand people's like need to give them the benefit of the doubt. I will say at the moment, I don't know if I'd say this is worth $70. Wait for them
I'd
to
wait.
kind
I'd
of
actually wait.
yeah,
I'd
please
wait. Yeah.
wait for them to kind of iron out all the kinks with like the performance, graphics, and like just maybe put in a bit more content. Like I know it sucks, but like to not be in the big new thing. I of all people fall susceptible to that all the time. But like even I'm thinking like this is not really something you get on launch. This is something you hold
wait.
out for.
Wait for
For them to
updates.
get better because they are probably going to like, you know, improve some things based on feedback. Who knows? Like, you know, I don't see the future. I'm not sure. But like, this will be a better package later on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're kind of in this Capcom era, especially with Monster Hunter, where these are pretty lean on launch.
Yeah. Also, do your taxes. It's due next month.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Okay, thanks for reminding me.
Do them in May.
I just did mine today when I got up. Took me about an hour.
I'm waiting for the middle of this month for my middle month not bill paycheck to just have that money ready to just go into taxes because I know I'm gonna owe a lot. But I don't think we have any questions. But
That's fine because this episode is actually running a little longer than you. No, it's running about the same amount. But I was like, it feels long, you know.
It's because we're talking about games you don't like.
It was the GC Power Hour Part 2.
No, I like GC Power Hour, but it's just like, man, I can't wait to play a good video game again.
Yeah.
Whenever that happens.
I think
I'm
we're
playing
just
some
burnt
good
out.
video game. Yeah, no, it's weird. We are burnt out.
There's a lot of stuff that came out in February and a lot of stuff that I even missed. Like Civ 7. I've been meaning to play Civ 7. I haven't picked that one up. Like, there's a ton of shit. There's like a ton of shit.
I'm pretty burnt out of like the games currently on offer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on a lot of really big RPGs right now. Like I'm still like I'd have more of like a Daybreak II like
Update.
section of the podcast, but like it's a lot easier for GC to do that on Xenoblade when you only need to know about a game called Xenoblade and not Trails where it's like so
here are these 7 games you need to have played in varying order.
Yeah, where it's like I'm currently like I'm playing Daybreak 2. It's fucking amazing. I'm really liking it. But there's a lot of things here that's like I like this because it's like, oh, it's paying off that thing from like a couple games ago. And I really like that. But it's like that's fucking nonsense talk that no one would get. So I'm gonna keep being like, oh, Trails games are good. I like Daybreak. Daybreak good. RPGs can be good if they want to be.
Please, I need that in my life. Here's hoping the next podcast will be like that exactly for me, where I'm like I experienced something good and wonderful.
I'm hoping next podcast I get to talk positively about that Suikoden remaster because that's honestly the only thing I'm looking forward to right now. Is just playing 2 old RPGs. That's what I'm craving. I want to play some old RPGs.
You know what, Cullen? You say that, and I'm like looking at Warcraft 3, and I think you'd really like Warcraft. If I gifted you Warcraft 3, would you play it?
Is it on Steam?
No, it's on BNet.
No.
That's sad. I'd want to play on Steam Deck.
You can put BNet on your Steam Deck.
I don't know if I have time. I think we had this discussion during the fundraiser stream where it's like I want to. Oh, I got a lot going on right now, and I can't commit to playing it like immediately.
Well, I'll gift it to you, and you can pick it up whenever you want. I just think you'd really enjoy the RPG aspects of this RTS. It's strange.
Do you have to have played any of the other Warcraft games?
Nope.
No,
That's
absolutely
great.
not.
We'd love
Warcraft
to
3
hear
is its
that.
own thing.
We
Yeah.
love to hear that. No, I mean, like, I know a lot of people really love Warcraft 3, and it's like, I want to give it a go. It seems like it'd be a lot of fun.
It's definitely one of the most formative Western RPGs of all time.
Yep.
So, it made League of Legends.
Every time you've recommended me a game, I always seem to like it. So, you know, I have no
It's because
I
I
have no
care
doubt.
about you, Cullen.
Aw.
Because I care. I would never recommend you something that I think would be dog shit.
I agree. I would never recommend you something.
Yeah. Thank you for that fucking stupid ass. What is it? The fucking the Wumbo game or whatever that
The
I had to
Blorble
fucking play.
Bros.
Yes. Oh my Jesus.
Oh, see, that's
Christ.
not a recommendation. That's like a punishment.
Punishment.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
misunderstand.
Oh my God.
Cullen wants us to suffer.
Yeah.
God, Cullen.
Teehee. We should get back to that. We should fucking get back to assigning people stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We should. I mean, it's a new year.
New
Yeah.
year?
Next week, homework. Let's do it again.
Yep,
to
let's
the
bring
fucking
homework
triangles.
back.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Again, it was great recording with you guys. I missed you. That's my weekly heart to heart.
Oh.
You can find us on Blue Sky, YouTube, and Spotify, and we have a community Discord you guys can join.
GC, read it out now.
Yeah.
Read it out right now, GC. Great. Thanks, GC, for reading it out.
Yeah.
I
You're
like that
welcome.
GC read it out, and I like if we keep talking about it, he can't edit around it. And if we end the
Yes.
episode talking about how GC read it out, he will be forced to include him reading it out
Yes.
in it. Or because if he doesn't, people will be really sad because they won't know what Discord to go to.
Yeah.
We just got to,
All right,
GC,
well,
just make a song. Make a song where the lyrics are our Discord link, and then you could just post it. You just play it over whenever we tell you to do that. So then you're free.
Until we have to like shut down the Discord again when Assassin's Creed comes out, even though I have nothing to do with that fucking game.
Well, then
So
GC
funny.
updates the lyrics.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody.